Welcome into the Pats Nation. I'm Corso Catone is here. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, good
Hi.
morning.
Catone. That's Catone. He's here. And Joe's with us in the booth. And you're watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, 790 The Score, which, by the way, later on, you're going to hear the Patriots game coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern on this same channel. So make sure you stick around for all the pregame festivities, starting with us. And give us a call and heated hotline, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S. It's a message line. Leave us a message 24/7. Or you can email us in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. Got a lot to do today. Got a lot to talk about today. In QB Breakdown, we'll talk about what Drake May needs to do today in that matchup. And, of course, Pat's preview. We're going to give you our breakdown and keys to victory. Going to go into the coaching room and Coach's Corner. And, of course, we're going to make some money in Sunday spread. I did all right last week, right?
Yeah.
That was one. I had one that didn't come in. Just one. But the other 2 or 3 was good, Mark.
Yeah, we had a decent week last week.
So stick around for that. You're not going to want to miss it. Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
We talk about Bloody Marys every week.
I know. We're going to switch that up to,
I like
Manhattan.
I like Bloody Marys.
White
It's
Russian.
starting to get, well, out there, it doesn't matter where you are, Chris, but for Joe and I, it's starting to get a little more fallish, colder, because it's been like 70 degrees out here. But now, this past week, Joe, it felt in the morning, it feels like fall now, right now.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe you transition from the Bloody Mary to something a little bit stronger.
Well, like a little, you heat up a little of that apple cider stuff with
apple cider,
the rum
toddy.
in it. What the hell are you going to have,
What?
Well, hot toddy. There you go. Okay.
Well, hot toddy, Joe, right?
There you go.
What the hell is a hot toddy? I don't want to take too much time from quarterback.
Whiskey with like
it's like a
lemon.
whiskey with lemon, and it's like,
Kinda like a hot
sometimes like a hot tea, but it's got liquor in it.
Little Canadian Mist there, Mark.
No, Canadian Mist. What is wrong with you, Canadian Mist?
All right. Well, listen, they're going to be playing the Rams coming up in a little while today at 1 p.m. Eastern. They kick off. And, God, I love the Rams colors. I got to be honest. But anyway, they're going to be playing the Rams, and we want to break all of this down. But we want to start with quarterbacks. We're going to do a QB breakdown. Going to do it now.
Okay, now.
Hit it, boys.
Broadcast said that you asked AVP if you could address the offense because you were a little bit frustrated with what you were seeing in practice. What exactly were you seeing that made you compelled to say something?
Yeah, I think just little things. I think just taking, that next step is me being the quarterback, in the offensive meeting room of, these little things that are adding up and hurting us in practice that are leading to game day. I think, last week I mentioned we had, second and third down and 2-minute drill that we ran it and we couldn't pick up 1 yard, little things like that, just a little detailed and focus. And I think sometimes you get in the practice mode where you're just running plays and not really tuned in and trying to execute, specific plays. You're trying to just get in a groove of, hey, we're just running plays out here just for nothing. And just really try to, challenge those guys and challenge myself to take each play and, know that, when the game comes, this play is called, it matters. There's so many times, throughout the game, you see how much that play can impact the turnout of the game. So I was just trying to get through to them and probably fumbled some words trying to do it, but I think those guys respected it.
Translation, you guys suck today. Pick it the F up. Okay? Right?
Chris, that's pretty good, though, for a young guy, like a guy his age. First-time starter, once he just turned 22, maybe, the maturity level that he has to actually be picking up on that and becoming the leader in that locker room on the offensive side of the ball.
I love that stuff.
He's got likability. He's got this likability about him that I think the rest of the team kind of sees that he's sincere and genuine when he probably does say something like that, even if it's like pick it the F up. It's got like this tweak of like, hey, he's still 22 and they're all elbowing each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's a country guy, He's a simple, simple country guy, wants to win, wants to play well, wants to learn as much as he can. Look, Mark, they got the guy.
They got the guy. They got the guy. They absolutely got the guy.
And I think he's good. I honestly think he's going to be better than the other two, Daniels and Williams. I do. If he's given something. I mean, you can't, nobody's doing it alone. I mean, Brady, but that's you're not going to see that again.
No, you'll never see that again. Listen, you're already being negative. I want to be positive today. Talk about some of the good things they did in their last game.
Shut up and drink your hot toddy over there. You know what I mean? So, all right. Well, let's talk about that today in May. His leadership.
I was so positive on the show yesterday.
Yeah, I know. You wouldn't let me, Joe. He wouldn't let me be positive about the Patriots yesterday. I tried on Corso and Catone. Make sure you go back and listen. I tried so hard to get Van Pelt and give him props and all that, and he just wouldn't let me. He wouldn't let me do it. So,
How's your chance? There we go.
Screw you, Mark. How's that? Okay.
All
they
right,
all suck.
all right,
Everything sucks. Let's go. Show's over.
All right, go ahead. Come on now. Be positive. Sing praises on him. They're gonna roll. They're gonna run the table and make the playoffs.
Okay, so we love his leadership. Obviously, I like the way he's been playing. We chronicled that yesterday. Talked about how he's playing much better. His footwork's better on the center. How he flips his hips. How he can throw his missile screens. Read the field quickly. Climb up the ladder from his drop so that he gains himself an extra second to throw the ball. All these things, he's getting them in and out of good plays. No negative plays have decreased. So still got some turnovers, but they're turnovers with attitude, Mark. You know what I mean by that, right?
No, I know. Let me ask you something though.
Yeah.
Do we have to give Alex Van Pelt some props for this development? Because we've been beating up on Van Pelt every week. But you brought up at the beginning of the show about you think he's going to be better than Williams and Daniels if given the right supports. And when I say supports, I mean talent around them.
Yeah.
So do we got to give Van Pelt some props? I don't know. Is it Van Pelt? Is it McAdoo? I don't know. But for the development of this kid up to this point?
On certain things, like what I just mentioned about under center, coming back from under center.
Because that was a struggle for him in the summer.
It was. He didn't do it in college. So the way he's dropping back now, when you talk about footwork under center, what you're talking about really is the drop, where your landing spot is. Because a lot of their offense is predicated around play action under center. So when you put your empty hand in the gut of the running back, and then you have to spin your hips, get back around, and survey the field quickly, that is where he's much improved from the summer. He threw around a guy in the last game. He whipped his hips around. There was a defensive end right in his face, and he sidearm threw around him to get it to Pop Douglas. I mean, that's the kind of pressure. So yeah, I mean, I guess you can give it to Van Pelt or McAdoo as to that kind of stuff. The other stuff, getting out of the pocket, climbing the ladder, awareness. I mean, I think he had that. I will say that he's allowing his pocket. He's not creating his own pressure as much anymore or bailing out too quickly. He's allowing the pocket to develop, and he's moving within the pocket and keeps his eyes downfield. So, yeah, I guess you can give him credit, Mark. Sure, if you want.
Positive, if I want. There's Mr. Listen, no, I'll agree with you, though. No, I would agree. You got to give somebody credit, Chris, for what he's doing under center, right? Because that was a struggle. He has developed for whatever, it will give props to, like you said, I don't know. Is it a combination, Van Pelt, McAdoo? But also, I
still don't think they're going to be a playoff team or a championship team with Van Pelt as the OC, period.
No, thank you. I was going to say that, too. Thank you for saying that. That is, I agree 1,000% with that, and I never agree with you. But 1,000%. I agree with that comment. But, Chris, listen, you also, I think, got to give credit to this kid because he obviously, and you said it, we both said it coming out of college, he has probably the highest football IQ of the top three guys that were drafted, right? And that is showing his ability to consume information and understand, and his IQ. And because he was 21 years old, everyone said, the kid has got the ability to improve because he's so young. His ceiling is probably the highest of all three because of his age, where he was coming from, the system he was in, but we just didn't know. We didn't know where his flaw was, but obviously, Chris, you got to give him props too. I mean, because the kid is definitely taking the tutelage and doing, everything that they've asked him to do, and it's working at this point. Now you got to get him some goddamn talent.
Yeah. And Mark, the thing is, okay, I get what you're saying. I'm having issues with my camera today, just so anybody on YouTube can see it's in and out, but I'll do my best. Today, though, with the minute we got left, can he get it done today? I mean, against the Bears, it's the Bears are the Bears. Now we're talking about the Rams today, right? So can he get this thing done against the Rams? Can he build on what he did last week?
Well, I'll tell you what, Chris, the Rams bring pressure. They bring pressure from all over. The Rams are a defense that's in development. They're young. They're not as good as they've been in the past. They don't have the veterans they've had, but they're a young team that's getting better every week on defense. And the new DC there, because Raheem Morris left to become head coach of Atlanta, the new DC there, Chris, disguises pressure very well. So Ramondre Stevenson and those running backs, Chris, I think are going to have to help this week to alleviate some of that pressure. Because if you think he's going to go back and throw the ball 40 times, he's going to get killed back there. Because this team will bring pressure. So I'm interested to see how he handles that this week. Because we just gave him props for moving around the pocket and doing some things differently and making the right reads. This team's going to bring pressure on him. And the offensive line is going to be key because they're going to have to protect this week, Chris. Because I guarantee you, they're going to bring a lot of pressure. Not like Chicago.
Yeah, and also, will they play man to the point where he'll be able to get out and run?
Could be.
We'll see. You have to believe that they looked at Chicago last week and saw that the way our blitz package, the way the Bears blitz package was plugging those gaps so that he could not get out and run, and he had to do everything from in the pocket. I assume that's going to be their plan, the Rams, but we'll see what happens. So let's see if he can build game to game to game. But QB Breakdown was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. Hey, when we come back, we're going to go into Pat's preview and break down this Rams game coming up. Stick around.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to corsolawgroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys.
Back in with more Pats Nation. Okay, if the camera permits. I'm telling you, Mark, there's something wrong today. I think my system has been having hot totties all morning long. Joe?
Yeah.
I blame Joe.
Hey, blame it. Blame it on the rain.
I blame Joe. I absolutely blame Joe. So, but let's see, we're talking about the Patriots today and whether or not they can win this game and what they're going to need to do to win this game. We need to discuss it. We're going to do it in Pat's preview. Joe.
Pat's preview.
Joe, is Mercury in retrograde?
Actually, you know what? It's coming. Mercury is in retrograde. Not yet, but it's coming in another 2 weeks, and it's so.
Well, you people already started over here between you and him.
That system failures. All right, Mark.
Failure.
Offense. Let's break this thing down. We talked about Drake May, some of the things he's going to need to do. And also talking about Alex Van Pelt and some of the things he's going to do. And I know Greg Bedard had some things to say in the off week here after the last game of the Bears and giving a few props to AVP. Joe.
On the tackles and keeping extra people in. So he's done that. And I thought today, I do think that they had pretty good concepts at running the ball. I think they took a lot of what the Cardinals did with heavy tight end formations and running counters and pulls and more powers, things like that. And I thought that they did a good job with sort of the misdirection run plays this week against the Bears.
So, Mark, that was Greg Bedard of the Boston Sports Journal talking about Alex Van Pelt's performance against the Bears. And yesterday on Corso Catone, you were reluctant to give him any credit. we don't like the tight end formations.
Well,
Okay,
Chris,
but he
the
has
only
a point as to how it worked in the run game last week.
No, I get that, but he said, they did a lot of what Arizona did. I would question that, Chris. Maybe in regards to some of the schemes that they ran running the ball and how they ran the ball. But the heavy tight end grouping, they've been doing that since the first week of the season. That has never changed. That's all they run. They
Right.
love to run that. So that's not something they figured out by looking at the Arizona tape. He runs that every week.
No,
It just so happened against the Bears.
Right.
I mean, it worked.
It
because
worked.
The Bears are putrid. The Bears are terrible.
Right. No, I agree with them in the sense of how they used them. How they used them in the running game is how you should be using them in the running game.
Sure.
Again, with those counters, with those zone blocks, kicking down, that misdirection on the run game. Sometimes you go heavy on one side, but you keep a tight end on the other side, and then you run to that particular side. So no, but what we have a problem with is how they're using them in the pass game so much, and not. But Mark, this is the offense. This is
their offense. We just gotta accept it, Chris. This isn't changing for the rest of the season.
I won't accept it.
Well,
I will not accept it.
Go have a hot toddy then, would you?
I'm picketing. I'm going to protest.
Listen, this is what they're going to do for the rest of all season. This is their offense, Chris. The only way this is changing is this is what he ran. This is what his basic premises of his offense. The only way it changes is if you replace Van Pelt at the end of the year. Otherwise, they're going to roll this back again next year. This is what he believes in. And this is the style that this idiot wants to play. The coach, you love him. You wanted him hired. You love him. This cartoon character coach loves. So you should have kept Belichick if you want to win games 19-13, 19-3.
It's horrible. It's horrible. So coming into today now, talking about this Rams game. Because look, the Bears are the Bears. I mean, we didn't know, should we give the Bears props? Should we give the Patriots props for it, or should we say, it's more about the Bears and how much they suck? Which is the theme of every game now that they win. Or the only 3 they won is, well, the Jets suck, so can't give the Patriots any credit.
Which they do.
So, I mean, if you listen to Mock Joe, every team they win, every team they beat sucks, and that's why we won the game. And the teams we lose to suck too. And we lost the game, Tennessee.
I will say this, Chris. There are a lot of, and you said this to me the other day as you were watching the games last Sunday. You said, Mark, there's a lot of bad football teams out there. You were watching all the games Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about there's at least, oh my God, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's like half the league. It's got like 4 wins or less.
Yeah, it's bad. There's some bad teams.
I mean, that's
I don't ever happened before.
No, I mean, I can't remember a year where it's been like this bad, But so talking about this Rams game, because do we agree that the Rams, are a much more quality team? I know they've had their struggles. They've had injuries.
They're a little they're inconsistent. They've had their injuries. They're a team, I think, that's improving. But yeah, I would say the Rams are a much better team than Chicago. Yes.
Right. So talking about the defensive front, talking about our offensive line, how we're going to need the pressures are going to go down on Drake May, right? So last week they did a little bit, and now we have to figure out, okay, can the offensive line, keeping that same unit out there, are they going to hold up well against this Rams front, Mark?
Well, Chris, that's going to be the key, because I'm going to tell you something. The Rams front, Chris, they bring pressure from everywhere, right? So they create havoc with their pass rush, all right? They use, Chris, something that's called creeper pressures, which the defense shows a standard structure but blitzes a usual coverage defender. So let's say it's an off-ball linebacker and they drop a pass rusher off at the line of scrimmage. They have a similar effect as a blitz. They do some funky things with this new DC they have. And I'm afraid, Chris, anything like that is going to confuse your offensive line. So they have a lot of film work to do this week. So I will give the offensive coaching staff credit this week if they can handle that, because our offensive line isn't the strength of the team, obviously, Chris.
Now you can, to beat some of that.
Yep.
Okay. to beat some of that type of defense, you can trap, you can counter.
Okay.
I mean, you can catch them in that sort of trying to get upfield and then just kick them down and create the hole in the running game or create a bubble out of it. Allow the pressure and have some screen. The Patriots don't run a lot of screen in the center of the field.
No.
A lot of their stuff is lateral.
That's not part of that's not part of their offense.
Right. So, that could be beat. But yeah, Mark, I mean, the pressure.
The offensive line, Chris, is going to be key. Our offensive line. Because, and you're right, Chris, what you mentioned on how you beat that. The running game then is also going to be important this week. Right. Yeah. And last week, Chris, they did a good job, I thought, of balancing Stevenson, Hasty, and Gibson. I thought they used them in a way where each one of them changed pace and they kept Stevenson fresh. I thought they did a good job at that last week, Chris. I am going to give them credit for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But they're going to have to do it. Look, Miami only ran for 67 yards on the Rams.
And Miami does a lot of different things to try to run the ball, and they didn't run it. They didn't do a good job.
But I have a feeling you're going to see May use his feet more this week. It's just that, listen, if the Rams decide they want to get into man coverage, which they can do, they got some pretty good corners sitting out there. Ramsey, and he's not 100% what he was, but he's still.
You mean Ramsey plays for Miami?
Yeah. I'm sorry, but never mind. But the Rams have some pretty good corners. Is my point.
Yeah, no, they do. They got some young guys.
If they decide they want to play man, okay, Drake May can get out of that pocket. They're not going to be able to plug gaps as much, like that.
Yeah.
So, and they'll have to protect the edge, and that edge rushing, so it allows him to climb up in that pocket too. So, because Tua was 20 of 28 for 207 yards, only one touchdown, but one pick. So
that game was like a defensive game, Chris, which I was surprised. I thought it would have been a high-scoring game, and it really
Miami
wasn't.
won. I mean, 23 to 15. Yeah,
that's what I mean. It was not a high-scoring game. It was a defensive battle.
It was. The Rams had a lot of opportunities too. But talk about the passing game now. You and I keep preaching this every damn week, talking about the receivers getting on the field.
I'm going to say this, Chris. It started to develop more last week. He's gone to him, obviously. He scored a touchdown, but the connection between him and Butte.
Yeah.
And
is it Butte or Booty?
I don't know. Every week they call these people. First it was Uche, then Usay. I don't know. Now it's Booty, Butte. I don't know.
Well, because on the broadcast they say Booty, but I don't think that's right. I think it's Butte. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, whatever it is. So, but I think you started to see, Chris, a connection develop even more last week. It's almost like he's becoming his security blanket outside of the tight ends. Obviously, it's Hunter Henry is his security blanket. But if there's one receiver, Chris, that I think is capable of having like a touchdown in 80, 90, 100 yards, it should be Pop Douglas. But it's not because of the type of offense we run. It could be Butte.
I agree. I mean, look, yeah,
and he's going to be key, Chris, this week because I think he could have a big game this week for May.
And you're right, Pop Douglas is there. He's their best receiver, but you're right. The type of offense they run, they're not using a slot. They're using a tight end in the slot.
That drives you nuts every week.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like running 10 personnel but you're saying, well, we're running 10 personnel and you got two tight ends out there. To me, that's 12.
Especially, Chris, when you got a guy like Pop Douglas to put in the slot. I could see if you were compensating because you had nobody to put in the slot, so you're using one of your tight ends who may be athletic. You got Pop Douglas. There's no excuse for that, Chris.
Well, they're going to have to run a lot cleaner routes than they've been. They're sloppy in some of their route running.
It was really sloppy last week, even though
it was sloppy. Better. It was. I mean, there's a lot of rounding routes. Polk, again, I don't like how Osborne runs his routes at all. Okay, so and in the middle. Okay, so we're going to run routes in the middle of the field. Be careful with the Rams. The pick came last week from a linebacker for the Rams, and they play well in the center of the field, in the middle. So if you're going to run these crossers, you're going to run these tight ends. These linebackers can cover them. So the running game is going to have to happen. So with the wide receivers, who should play? Who do you want to see play?
I want to see, obviously,
Baker.
Butte. I want to see Douglas. I want to see Baker. Chris, we talked about this last week, and then during the Chicago game, every time he was on the field, I said, I'm gonna track it. Every time he was on the field, maybe he's on the field a half a dozen times, Chris. I don't know. Every time he's on the field, they ran the ball. Every time.
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
That's a tell. I mean, it's always a
Why
tell.
is he on? Why is he on the field? You're not going to tell me there's not a route tree he can't run, Chris, for you to see if he can get open. Come on.
Yeah.
He showed it in preseason. You mean to tell me you can't incorporate that into the game plan? You got to put him on the field only when you're running? That's ridiculous.
It is. So we'll see what happens. I mean, and when we do in Sunday spread, when we do our Patriots picks, Mark's going to give you his, 3 keys to victory for the offense today?
Yeah.
Is that how you're going to do it? Okay. So we'll give you the 3 keys, but we come back, going to talk more defense. But this portion of Pat's preview was presented by Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England Field, Saturdays, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. Hey, we got Catone's comments, B's and C's. Mark even talks baseball a little bit too, but nobody cares about it. But Mark talks about it. So
listen, I love to talk about baseball.
So make sure you're tuning into that. But we come back, going to continue with Pat's preview. No flipping.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
That's
it.
What is wrong with
Get him on this damn
you?
show.
Lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Field. It's going to be real.
Back in with more Pat's Nation and all of our technical issues today. Talk about pros, huh? We're pros.
Pros.
Fight through it, man.
Fight right through it. That's
Yeah,
it.
fight through it, man. Fight through it. Get your drinks, get your hot toddies, get your, Bloody Marys and mimosas, and let's go.
Listen, go. It's tailgate time. Come on, let's go. They should be listening to us drinking this morning, getting ready for the game.
It's
It'll
football
be like
Sunday.
go in the locker room, cut off the finger, come back and play.
That game Joe went to, he didn't even know where he was by 10 a.m. I don't know how the good thing he made it through us.
But everybody, make sure you're drinking responsibly now out there.
Here we go.
Make sure you drink responsibly.
No, that is true. Drink responsibly. There's Ubers, there's car ride, share rides out there.
There's
Don't drive.
no reason in this day and age to get a DUI. What do you call it out there? DWI? What do you guys call it?
No, we call it DUI now.
Okay. There's no reason to get that. Go get an Uber. It's easy.
Yeah.
Take
Do
a cab.
something. Cab? Right. You are a dinosaur. Cab. What
Those
cab?
guys are funny. All right, Mike, let's talk about the defense a little bit. So last week they had a fantastic game, and Drake May pointed that out in the post game. Joe, I don't know if I don't want to screw you up and have to play that Drake May cut. You
like you said, let's fight through it. Here we go.
Phones down, notepads down real quick. Clap it up for the defense, man. Clap it up. Somebody else clap it up. There we go. Appreciate you. There we go.
Drake, let's start with that defense. What was it like to watch them perform on a day like that?
Man, it's a good feeling sitting over there, as offense, as a quarterback, that type of defense performance. I feel like, the 11 are out there at a time, but I know 15, 20 played. Just credit them. And, practice this week, man, just kind of a good taste of, what it looks like, what it looked like for me in training camp. And they get after you, mix up shell, mix up coverage, mix up blitz packages. It's pretty cool to watch. And it's good to be on the other side of the ball. So I got to make some better decisions and keep those guys in good field position.
Yeah, I wanted to play that because I'm so geeked up about what this kid can be. Yeah. I'm serious about what this kid can be.
I'll tell you one thing. That it seems like the rest of the team lives and dies when he is not only performing well, but wants to be out there and play. You know what I mean? They all pick up. The defense picks up. You see in the other games that he's played well. You know what I mean? 9 sacks. Come on.
They respond to him, Mark.
No, they definitely respond to him.
So it's so different with Brissett.
Yeah.
They like Brissett. They respect him, but they're not responding the way this team is. But looking at the defense now, Mark, last week, they had an unbelievable game. Farms had the game of his life. We talked about that. He disrupted a lot of different things. I think what did they rush for last week? The Bears, 40 yards, something like that.
I don't know,
30,
not a
40
lot.
yards.
Not a lot.
Now Stafford last week against Miami, he went 32 of 46 for 293, 1 interception, no touchdowns. Which
And Stafford does that, Chris. He goes hot and cold.
Yeah.
He does that.
now you would think
He has struggled this year, Stafford.
Cooper Kupp, Nakua. Who's the other one? Is it Williams? Who's the other receiver they got up?
Kyron Williams is the running back. They do
Okay.
got a third receiver who's not bad.
Yeah. So again, talk about first the passing game. Let's talk about, before we talk about what the front's going to have to do against the run, how are we going to slow this passing game down? Because look, I mean, we talk about coaching. You know, we gave the coaches props last week, okay, for last week's game. But you're not going to outcoach this team with McVay and company.
No. Chris, I think he's going to watch the San Francisco tape because he runs some of the same principles as San Francisco does. I think he's going to watch that tape for what San Francisco did offensively against us. And I think you're going to see him incorporate some of that because, like I said, some of the basic principles are the same that the Rams are running, that San Fran runs, right? McVay and Shanahan.
Now, the issue this week with these receivers, okay, and like I said, we'll get to what the front needs to do in a minute to help the secondary, to help the defensive backs. But this Nakua and Kupp are different types of receivers. You're not talking about a Jefferson. You're not talking about a Chase. You're not talking about these kinds of guys now. You're talking about guys that can run every route. They can run into the middle of the field. They can run short routes. They can run intermediate routes. They can run deep routes. They can do it all, these two receivers. So when you say, okay, we're going to lock up Gonzalez on their best receiver. So let's just say, for example, they want to lock him up on Nakua. Gonzalez has not faced a receiver this year yet. I mean, he played Hill.
He played Chase, but Chase wasn't ready week one.
No,
he missed.
But he played it. But Chase is a different kind of receiver than this. So he played against Hill, but that's when they had a quarterback that they didn't have a quarterback.
They didn't have a quarterback.
So,
didn't Hill have that experience with the police that week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was it that week? It was that week.
That week. You're right, Joe.
Yeah.
You're right, Joe. He did.
So, but now you're going to be playing against either Nakua or Kupp, and I have no doubt they're going to put him on one of these guys. How's Gonzalez going to do? Is his game, because we always talk about the way he comes forward, and maybe there's an issue with that of if you can find issues with Gonzalez's game as to how he comes forward. Well, these guys run those whip routes. They run those little sideline, bench routes and those shallow type routes where they're cutting in and out like an Edelman.
Yeah.
How's he going to do with that? Or are they better playing zone?
Here's the issue, Chris. I think you might have to play some zone this. Well, I don't know, Chris, if you want to play zone.
Because the middle of the field sucks.
I was just going to say to you, Chris, they will kill you. These guys will kill you in the middle of the field. Are you kidding me? Zone. You can't play zone. That's what I was just going to say. You can't. So you're going to have to play lots of man-to-man and see what happens. You don't have a choice. You have to.
I honestly think that this could be a week that Marcus Jones plays well. Because these types of receivers.
And he didn't play bad last week, Chris. He's been playing better, Marcus Jones, since that week that he got torched by Garrett Wilson. Remember, by the Jets? He's played better. He's played better since then.
I think Marcus Jones' game lends itself to these types of receivers.
Yes.
Speed-wise, he's going to stay with them. I mean, he's not.
That's a good observation, Chris. It does.
So if you're going to play him, and I would almost say, you know what, this may be my man-to-man guy this week. This may be the guy I want man a lot on one of these guys. Is Jones, because again, he can get across the middle of the field. Speed's not going to be an issue. These guys don't have huge size, Kupp and Nakua.
No.
And I think his starting and stopping abilities, Marcus Jones. Because Nakua, I don't think anybody runs a better route in the league than Nakua. A more cleaner, crisper route than that guy.
No, they don't. They don't.
See him run. You ever see him run that? Did you see him in the combine when he came out, run the gauntlet drill? That gauntlet drill?
Oh, you love that drill. You love that drill.
I've never seen anybody run
it like him.
that like Nakua did. And so that's why his routes are so good. They're so crisp. That's how he gets separation. But when you're dealing with Marcus Jones, he can make up for that with some of his flashy speed and things like that. Now, Mark, talk about down low, okay, in the front. Because they're going to have to mix it up with the blitz packages to help those defensive backs. They did a good job of it last week, getting 9 sacks, okay? And they set the edge. How do you see that going this week? Because Stafford's not really going to get out of the pocket and run
Stafford's not going to get out of the pocket, Chris. So I think if you can create some pressure, I think you're capable of getting more sacks again this week. You're not going to get 9 sacks like you did last week. I mean, Stafford's a veteran. He'll get rid of the ball. And McVay's offense, Chris, is a lot crisper and cleaner. And I'm saying than what you saw last week. Chicago was a dumpster fire. But here's the issue, Chris. This week, we keep talking about Nakua and Kupp. The running game, Kerryon Williams could gash you this week with just like San Fran killed us with the running. If you remember running the ball, San Fran killed us that game. He's going to run the ball on us, Chris. You're not going to get away with 40-something yards rushing this week. That's going to be the key. Can the Patriot front, can they set the edge? Because they do a lot of zone running. The Rams. That's going to be the key this week, Chris, is can't Kerryon Williams, especially after what happened in that Miami game. I think they're going to run the ball on us, Chris, because I think they can.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be what I'm interested to see. Can we stop the run? Because I could foresee the Rams having over 100 yards rushing, and that'll open up some of the stuff you were mentioning for Nakua and Kupp. I think the running game, Chris, could open that up for them.
Yeah, and I mean, Williams ran for 62 yards last week, 4 yards a carry. Could he get that against New England? Yeah, others.
Yeah, but I think you might see him featured. But I think, Chris, this week you might see him featured more than you saw him featured last week. Because Stafford's been struggling, Chris. He goes hot and cold, Stafford. Stafford could come out and throw 5 touchdowns, but the last couple of weeks he hasn't played that great.
Well, I think if Covington mixes it up like he did last week.
He's getting older, Chris. He's 36 years old. Stafford's not what he once was, by no means.
Well, I think if Covington mixes it up like he did last week, I mean, you're not going to fool Stafford, okay? No. I mean, he's going to be able to read what you're doing. But if you mix up your coverages, you can cover 2 look, bring it down to 1 where it's man, but you're able to bring your safeties up and help in the run game that way. Use the safeties like they did last week. I loved these safeties. Now, you don't need a spy. You don't need that long horn.
Well, not for him.
They with Schooler, but you could still use your safeties to come off the edge and get pressure on Stafford and mix that up a little bit. And I think if you do that, at least that creates another half beat. But Keon White, Jennings, these guys have got a set edge, but I think center pressure has got to be good. Godshaw, Quali, Farms. These guys have got to get center pressure into Stafford's face.
Keon White, Chris, has played better the last couple of weeks. After he got that penalty, what game was it? Was it against Miami? He got the roughing the passer penalty. He made a couple of dumb mistakes in that game. Remember, and they ended up bench. They put him on the bench for the rest of the game. Yeah. He didn't see the field after that. He struggled for a couple of weeks after that. It was almost like he lost his aggressiveness. But then the last couple of weeks, he's back to playing like he did at the beginning of the season, Chris. They're going to need that from him Sunday.
Yeah. And so in the middle of the field, Tavai played better.
Oh, here we go. You didn't actually just say that, did you really?
He did play better, okay? I mean, let's not get, let's not get ahead of ourselves over here. I said he played better. He didn't play great, but he played better.
He reminded me a little bit last week in some of the things he did, Chris. I'll give him some props. He
had 9 tackles.
He reminded me of Greenlaw from San Fran.
Listen, he had 9 tackles, 7 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. He had a good game. But, Mark, I will say this. They put him more on the edge.
He looks like Nakobe Dean every week.
Yeah, okay. You got to say things. You got to say things to irritate. My camera doesn't work today. Now you're irritating me saying all kinds of things I don't like. But they're going to have to get better play in the middle of the field. The safety play is going to have to be better. And guess what? Get off the damn field. They did a great job last week of getting off the field, Mark, against Chicago. Chicago was 1 of 14 on third down. Chicago sucks. Got it. But they can need more of that. Get off the field. Put your offense in a good place to win. So that's our preview, Mark. I think they're going to listen to us like Joe tells them to do.
Then, well, listen, Joe had a theory on CORSO CATONE, right, Joe? Joe, what did you say on CORSO CATONE yesterday? He gave us some props.
There's a pattern happening where it's when you guys talk about specific things, whether it be Van Pelt in the offense or the defensive bringing pressure, it seems as though they listen and they accurately execute those things that you guys say, but then they don't maintain it. But they do it for, a short period of time. It's like, okay, they're doing exactly what a Mark said or Chris said or something, and you can see it. I'm actually seeing that. I'm seeing it, and I don't have the knowledge you guys have in the background of this game. But I watch it and go, that's exactly what we were talking about. That's exactly what they said, and they're executing. But then it doesn't consistently happen the whole game, nor every game, but, it's happening.
The rat bastard should listen to us more.
If that would only happen in the draft room.
Yeah. That's where they need us.
The draft room,
That's where they need us in the draft room. We wouldn't have this problem if they listened to all our picks. Wouldn't have this problem. So we'll see what happens today. But Pat's preview was presented by CORSO Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. And when we come back, going to go into the coach's room in Coach's Corner. No flipping.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to corsolawgroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys.
Back in with more Pat's Nation. Okay, got to talk coaching, Mark. Going to go in the coach's room. Joe, let's have it.
Coach's Corner.
Okay, Mark, I'm excited about these coaches. You got Bill Walsh as the OC over there now. Alex Van Pelt. If you look quick, he's like Bill Walsh.
What is wrong with you, Bill Walsh? Really?
Well, the way you were talking about him yesterday, you may have thought he was Bill Walsh. You're so excited.
Oh, would you please give it a break?
Well, we had to give him props on CORSO CATONE. And somebody else who gave him props after the game last week was Gerard Mayo. Joe.
So I thought the coordinators did an excellent job the entire week, not only, reiterating the message that I said in the squad meeting rooms, but also just putting together a good game plan and knowing how we have to win football games. And that's through controlling the line of scrimmage, and kind of talked about that.
You hated that. You hated the comment he made about
how we have to win football games. 1913. Listen, Chris, why did they get rid of Belichick if that's how you want to win football games?
I don't know. I don't know why they did. I don't understand half of why they did what
We're
they
going to
did.
get rid of Belichick, Chris. Then okay, and you said I'm okay with it if they bring in a guy like Johnson, the OC from Detroit, to be the head coach. Then you're okay with Belichick getting replaced. But to do it, you're playing the same style of football to win games. So what was the point?
Yeah, and guess what? By the way, all this transparency, he's in a silo here, and all this other crap you heard in the offseason about Mayo talking about, Well, guess what he's starting to do? Guess what you're starting to hear more? Yeah. You're starting to hear more of what Belichick sounded like, because now he's starting to figure out the media is not my friend.
And if you notice, Chris, after the incident out in Germany where the receivers went out partying, they got sick, whatever, you haven't heard much from the players since then either, have you?
No.
The players have all of a sudden, it's almost like back to, Belichick. Nothing's coming. I mean, players really aren't giving much information anymore now to the media.
What Mayo doesn't understand, and what he never understood, okay, was the method to Bill's madness. Look, you're out there in Patriots in the nation, the media is always going to hate Belichick. They're always going to hate him. Why? Because he doesn't sell newspapers. That's why. Do they have newspapers anymore?
They do.
They do. Very few, but they do.
People like you read them.
Dinosaurs like you.
So
T-Rex. T-Rex is back, Joe.
So you don't have, Mark, and I'm looking over here at these stats. Okay. The media is not going to be his friend, period. Anything, they love it when they talk, because when they talk, they can have daily talk shows all day long. So he's coming around on that. But look, talking about in game, let's talk about Mayo for a minute. He's still got to do better. Choosing with the win being what it was last week, there were a couple of small things. Okay. So he decides to kick low on the kickoff. Okay. And they didn't get the ball in the landing zone, and that then they bring it out to the 40-yard line. These are little things that are the attention to detail he still needs to get better at. And the other thing too is, if you see it, fix it. If you see it, fix it in game, Mark. If you see they're not doing something we should be doing, running the ball.
Chris, he hasn't been able to do that. Yeah, nothing really gets fixed in game. That doesn't happen. No. And I mean, with everything else going on to manage a game, Chris, I just don't know if he is able to do that yet. I don't think he has the skill set to do it.
No, not yet. And I don't know if that's going to come. But then kicking over to the offensive room now in Alex Van Pelt. Okay, we gave him some props last week, did better. Now he's going to have to build on what happened last week. The running game scheme was pretty good. It was pretty creative. Greg Bedard of the Boston Sports Journal talked about that this week. Okay, what do you want to see? What do you want to see them build on for last week? What did they do last week that you think they could bring into today? Or him, as far as his calling and personnel packages?
Well, Chris, I think what you talked about in regards to the run, and how they schemed the running plays and what they did to actually run the ball, some of those blocking schemes, I think you're going to have to do this week against that front that they have and the way that they pressure you. And I think he's going to have to continue, Chris, to develop, I think, that connection he has with Butte. I already talked about that, because I honestly think, Chris, that's a guy, the way he's developing a connection with him. If he can run crisp routes and hold on to the ball, he could be a guy that picks up 80, 90, 100 yards and a touchdown in a game. And you know what I mean? Because we already said that their offense doesn't feature Pop Douglas the way he should be featured. So I think you need to at least find that one receiver, Chris, that you can actually use to move the ball and continue to move the ball. And he looked like he was, last week, Butte looked like he was going to be one of those sticks guys too, Chris. You need 7, I'll get you 9. You need 8, I'll get you 10. It looks like that's developing between him and Drake May.
Yeah.
So I want to see more of that.
Yeah, and I'd like to see it in the red zone. Look, I want to see more wide receivers in the red zone. I want to see more.
That's a good point, Chris.
Yeah, I want to see more 10 personnel with Hunter Henry and 3 wide receivers. And I'd like to see some of that versus 2 tight end and 1 running back. They had many times in the red zone last week. It's just easy. It's easy for a defensive backfield to cover that up. Unless you're bodying them, unless the tight ends are physical and bodying guys, which we don't have those kind of guys, it's easier to cover that, with your safeties and your nickel package and all of that. So I want to see more receivers in there. And I like the play action on the goal line. That's one play they ran last week that I really thought they did well, and they ran that.
You
play
called for it just
and
before they ran it. You said, "Mark, they're going to do play action here." They ran it, and it was wide open.
It was. So I mean, more creativity on the offense, especially in the red zone. Don't give me any more bunch with 2 tight ends. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. And stop telegraphing plays with Baker. Putting every time he's out there 6 times, he's out there. They run 6 times. Yeah. Every time he's there, it's a run.
Chris, they've run that bunch formation a couple of times with those in a couple of games with those tight ends. As soon as you see it, you know what the play is because they've done it numerous times this year.
Stinky. I don't like it. And we've already talked about defensively some of the things Covington needs to do. Again, creative blitz packages, use your safeties, bring them up, mix up coverages to help on those 2 wide receivers. Use Marcus Jones as you would Gonzalez. To me, those run pass blitz packages that they brought last week, I thought were really good job doing it. Let's see more of that. Let's see more of that. Maybe we can develop some more pressure. And Mark will be happy with the result. Yes?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, we're going to go on a run, and we're going to contend for a playoff spot.
You want them to lose. You just want the draft pick. You're one of those people.
I do. I want Travis Hunter.
You want that loser mentality, If you want Hunter that bad, trade up. Trade up and get him then. Win some and then trade up and get him.
Listen, no matter what position they are in the draft, they're taking a tackle in the first round next year.
Well, we'll have plenty more of that as the year passes and then in the offseason. But Coach's Corner was presented by CORSO CATONE Saturdays, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. We got Pat's preview. We have weekly rewind. We got Cohen's comments. God knows what he's going to come up with next week. So make sure you're tuning into that. But when we come back, we're going to make some picks. We're going to make you some money. Sunday spread is next. The real deal New England field. What does that mean? We're like you. We're going to bitch about everything.
My opinion, our draft, the good, the bad, it was ugly.
These people, Mark, drive me freaking insane. Bananas.
It's so frustrating and aggravating. I can't take it.
The real deal New England field. It's going to be real.
It is the real deal New England field, I tell you what, when I say we're like you, I don't think you want to be like us. Do you?
You love that sound. Look at him. He's already halfway to the car. He's going to the casino. Look at him. He's going to go throw dice now.
I can't. Joe?
Look at it's just keeping him near the microphone just for a little bit longer.
Oh, God. Anyway, so back in with more Pats Nation. All right. So, Mark, I think we did pretty well last week.
We did.
You and I both had that Arizona game.
We did, surprisingly. But then you were free.
What's surprising? I pick them every week. I've been making money with them every damn week.
I'm talking about me. I don't pick it. I don't pick it. I never pick them. But you're cursing 3/4 of the way through the game. I should have put my house on this game. What did I do?
Oh, because you knew. I knew. I'm like, they're gonna kill this team. And so we did pretty well last week. I had one. I can't remember what the hell the game was. I didn't have it. It was they ended up winning by like 3, and it was a 6-point spread. I don't know. So, all right, Mark, let's talk about it. What do you got? Give the people something.
All right, listen, I'm going to do something here.
Jeez, every week.
Just because it has to happen. It has to happen.
I have this game too, by the way. I have the same thing you have, but go ahead. I'll bet anything.
I'm going to
Orchard Park.
I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills at home. Minus 2.5 to cover against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm not even going to get into that Chiefs game last week. I thought I heard him. I thought he broke something when they missed the field goal. But I don't
blocked it.
They blocked it, yeah.
Oh,
anyway,
disgusting.
So I'm going to take the
They
Buffalo
can't
Bills.
lose. They can't lose this team. This goddamn team can't figure out, they're like the Patriots used to be. I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm sick of hearing it. Oh, yeah, they find a way to win. Teams wet down their leg with Andy Reid and Joe.
I'm going to take Buffalo minus the points this week, Chris. I think the streak ends this week. It ends. Because if it don't end this week, we're going to start the sweat.
Never going to end.
We're going to start the sweat for the undefeated season. We never thought we'd see 07 again. If they beat Buffalo, Chris, the countdown's going to be on. Trust me. When you look at the rest of their schedule. Okay? So.
Detroit's going to beat them in the Super Bowl.
No, I think Detroit is too. But I'm going to take Buffalo, Chris, minus the points. I like
am
Buffalo
too, just so you know. Go ahead.
Yep. I'll tell you what else I like, because I can't believe how bad of a football team they are. I'm going to take, on the road, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers giving the points to Chicago.
Yeah.
I think they're going to wipe the floor with Chicago.
Well, they
Because
just
Green
lost
Bay-
their OC, and now they're going to promote somebody. So it's
They're
going
going
to
to promote somebody. It might be a little
that being the
dicey this
Bears.
week. I don't know. But Green Bay can score, too. They're not going to score 19 points. Green Bay's going to score. I like Green Bay minus the points. And then Chris, if you want to do a 3-team tease, I like on the road. They have to respond, Chris, to what happened last week. I like Cincinnati. I know the Chargers are at home and they're playing well. I just think Burrow's going to put up too many points for the Chargers to actually keep up in this game. The way they lost to that Baltimore game, they should have never lost that Baltimore game, Cincinnati. Yeah. I think they're going to put up like 30, 40
screwed
points.
by the officials.
They're going to put up 30, 40 points, Chris, on the Chargers. And Harbaugh's not going to keep up.
Yeah, so you're going to love my picks.
Here we go.
You're going to love this. I like Buffalo too, by the way. Two games I'm looking at. Indy at the Jets. Okay. I'm going to take the Jets, even minus the 4.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to take the Jets because this is the kind of game. This is the kind of game where everybody will say, see, Rodgers still has it. He still got it. He still got it. And they're going to probably kick the crap out of Indy, but they still suck. The Jets still suck, but they'll beat Indy. And it's I wish it were 3, and it may get to 3, but we'll see.
It might get to 3.
Cleveland at New Orleans. Okay.
You're picking some shit games this week. Cleveland and New Orleans.
This is a family show.
Sorry.
Sunday. Cleveland at New Orleans. New Orleans is getting one as a home dog. Okay. I like New Orleans in this game. I think Cleveland is Cleveland, So
they stink.
We can win anywhere. Then the last one I'm going to say, and then we got to get to the Patriots because I want your keys. Jacksonville at Detroit. I think, is Mac Jones still playing? Is it going to be?
No, Mac Jones is playing.
Okay. It's a 14-point spread. It's 14.
You're giving 14?
Take it. I don't care. They're going to beat this team by 30.
Yeah. They might put a 50 again this week. That's this Detroit team.
At the half, it will be like 30 to 3 at the half in this game. So with a clean conscience, you go ahead and you bet that Detroit game with the 14 points. All right, Mark. Our game. Patriots are getting 4.5 at home. What do you think? And give me your 3 keys.
Well, 3 keys, Chris. We already talked about it. We talked about the fact the offensive line is a key. They're gonna have to protect because they're gonna bring a pass rush. They're gonna have the running game. They're gonna have to establish the running game. Okay. And third, they're gonna have to win the turnover battle, which we hadn't talked about really today. They're going to have to be plus like 2, Chris, I think, to win this game because they're going to have to get some extra possessions, maybe get some short fields this week. Turnover
All right,
battle.
give me a score and
31-21, unfortunately, Rams.
Okay. So they're not going to fulfill those keys to victory like
No.
you're talking about.
No.
Okay.
I think I think Covington's going to get exposed this week by McVay. That's the problem.
For me, the Patriots going to win this game. They're going to win this game. This will be a 3-touchdown. This will be a 3-touchdown performance by May. They're going to win this game 27-24. The Patriots win outright. Take the money line. Take the money. Bet the money line in this one.
Wow, is that a prediction right there?
There it is. So you heard it here first. Make sure you go out and again, bet for want, not need. Bet for want, not need. But the Pats Nation was presented by CORSO Catone. Saturdays, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll have a breakdown of this Rams game along with Catone's comments and so much more. And get on. Watch. All our shows are up for you. Subscribe. Give us that thumbs up. Come back next week, 8 a.m. Eastern. We are going to preview the Dolphins game and so much more. We are the Pats Nation. Enjoy the game.